everybody. It is Dirty Thursday with the Bullring Boys. And how about this? Johnny Gibson's in the studio. Oh, yeah. Today's show, by the way, brought to you by your auto equipment experts. For all your car equipment needs, check out Auto Equipment Experts in Grand Forks. They're an AC Delco distributor for auto parts and so much more. Auto Equipment Experts, they also sell and service all major brands of tire machines, wheel balancers, hoists, air compressors, and pretty much anything you need to stock your shop or for all your weekend warriors to stock that garage too. Locally and employee-owned. Check them out. Auto Equipment Experts, 5036 10th Avenue South and North in Grand Forks, or call 701-757-2500, or go to autoequipmentexperts.com. Auto Equipment Experts open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Well, you know the routine. You know the drill. Any questions or comments for any of us, feel free to call or text our number here at the studios, 701-213-0863. Again, 701-213-0863. Before we get too much further, time now for our daily segment called Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. Here we go. Race car driver went to the doctor and asked how to have a better sex life. So the doctor tells him, run 5 miles a day. So a week later, the doctor called and asked, how's your sex life doing? Well, the race car driver said, I don't know, I'm 35 miles away from home. What'd you think of that one? I know, that was pretty lame.
Next week, it'll work a better one there.
Try to find decent racing jokes, and I think we've used them all up. Johnny Gibson, welcome. How are you?
Great to be here, man. Looking forward to, hopefully, a big night of racing tomorrow night with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series.
You know, it seems like every year when the Outlaws are here, it doesn't matter if the sprint cars or the late models, we always have a chance for rain.
Well, every year I seem like I get anxiety this time of year because you're hoping and you wait for these guys to come, and like the first time they came up here with Gibson and all, and my dad came. It was his first World of Outlaws race, so he was here from Montana, and then it was like perfect. We did time trials, everything was perfect. Then all that rain came, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hoping for my dad. So this weekend I'm just praying again because he's coming again. So let's try this again.
You know, it's just all part of the business, isn't it?
It really is. And again, I know you guys up here are in a drought, and you hate to say, hey, well, can we not have rain so we can get the races when there are bigger things to think about?
You know, they could do this. Rain starting at about midnight tonight. Yeah. Go all the way till like 6 a.m. tomorrow. So then it dries up, so we'll be able to race again in Fargo tomorrow for you guys, Devil's Lake for me. But it'd be nice to get some rain.
Now you're a day ahead. So
okay, wait, tomorrow night's here. Okay, it'd be nice to get rain at midnight tomorrow night. You know, I've been told that all week long. See, it's the same thing. It kind of runs downhill. I've been just weird all week with my dates. Away from racing, Johnny, tell us a little bit about yourself, because as far as I know, all you do is follow the World of Outlaws.
That is basically what I do. I'm a race fan. I go to as many races as I possibly can, whether it's the races that I announce for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series or any other races I can get to as far as sprint cars, midgets, open wheel racing. I'm an open wheel guy. I'm not much of a late model person.
Right.
But, as many races as I can go to, as much music as I can listen to and maybe play a little bit, and as much Penguins hockey and Steelers football as I can take in.
And we're going to get to all that, too, in a little bit.
That's good. I like to dive in a little bit deeper because there's a lot more to Johnny Gibson than people think.
And I realized a lot of that yesterday.
Such a cool thing.
Yeah. When you get to go watch racing and you're not working, how much of a treat is that? Because I don't ever get to hardly do that.
It is such a treat because that's what got me into the sport to begin with, is just being a fan. And it's nice to still be able to go out and just be a fan and not have to worry about being there at noon or 11 a.m. and setting stuff up, or what's going to happen tonight. Am I prepared? Do I have my notes done? Do I have everything ready to go? I can show up when the national anthem is playing, walk in the gate, go grab a beer, sit down, watch race cars, and if I don't like what I'm seeing, I can get up and leave.
Yeah. I mean,
you don't get that option when you're behind the mic.
Yeah. One of those ones, not another caution, come on. It's pushing late here. How did you get your start, Johnny, in calling races?
Basically by pure luck and being in the right place at the right time.
He used to hand out, you used to be at the front gate handing out pamphlets, right? Or
selling souvenir programs.
That's
Yep.
right, souvenir programs. Over 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I started working for the World of Outlaws in 1995, selling programs. Actually, let's go back a little bit before that. Moved to Indianapolis from Pittsburgh in 1994. Met a gentleman named Bill Woodside who was working for the World of Outlaws selling the souvenir programs. And I would go to World of Outlaws races and grab an armful of programs and go walk through the stands, hey, get your program here. It was a way to make a couple bucks and get into the races for free.
Right.
Yeah. And I showed up to help him at I-96 Speedway in Michigan the Monday after the Kings Royal in 95, and he wasn't there. And the staff said, we haven't heard from him. We don't know what's going on. Sell the programs yourself tonight. And at the end of the night, they still hadn't heard from him. They said, well, we race Wednesday in Memphis, Friday in Houston, and Saturday at Devil's Bowl. Can you come and do those races until we figure out exactly what's going on with Bill? And, if he shows up at those races, we'll take care of you and make sure you're not out of pocket or whatever. So drive to Memphis. First of all, had a day job at the time. I was working night shift. I shouldn't say a day job. I was working nights editing newspaper ads.
Oh,
boy.
wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And said, hey, I'm going to be gone this week. And they basically said, well, if you're gone this week, just stay gone. I was like, that's fine with me. I'll find another job. Drove to Memphis. Sold programs that night. When we got to Houston, found out that Bill had indeed resigned to turn in all the equipment and everything. So they asked me if I wanted to take over full-time traveling with the Outlaws selling programs. And yeah, the answer was absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
So I did that the rest of 95 and all of 1996. And in those days, World of Outlaws races were televised by TNN, the Nashville network.
Right.
Yep.
So on the televised races, when I was done selling programs, I would go work for the production company. I'd be a spotter for a cameraman or a runner or whatever.
Right.
Just something to kind of keep busy and help the broadcast. That's how I met Bobby Gerald, who was doing some pit reporting for TNN and also announcing at a couple of tracks in California. So we get to Hanford, California, King Speedway in September of 96. And Bobby comes up to me before the races and says, when you're done selling programs, come up to the booth. I want to do an interview with you. I think it's a really interesting lifestyle you have, just following the races and selling programs and being a race fan. So I went to the booth, talked to Bobby for a little bit. And Bobby said, you're pretty well spoken. You've got a great knowledge of the sport. You know these guys. Have you ever thought about doing any announcing? And I said, not really.
Yeah.
Hands me the microphone and says, first heat race is coming out. Go ahead, give it a shot.
Throwing you to the wolves.
And the rest is history?
So I did the one heat race.
Yeah.
And didn't think anything else of it. Went back about my business selling programs. And 3 weeks later, the Outlaws were in Hartford, Michigan. And Ted Johnson, the founder and president of the World of Outlaws, before the races that night, calls me up into the office of the souvenir trailer and says, Johnny, we're going to do something a little bit different next year. And my first thought was, I guess I have to go get a real job again.
Back to editing ads.
And he says, you're going to be our announcer.
Wow.
Holy cow.
I'm like, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
So at that time, the Outlaws did not have an announcer that traveled with the series. They just used whatever announcers were at the tracks where they showed up. And there were some really good announcers, but there were also some that had no intention of reading our commercial scripts.
Sure.
Right.
And it basically cost the Outlaws a sponsor that year.
Oh, yeah.
So really, I was hired to do commercials. I wasn't really even necessarily calling the races that first year. I did some, but not all of them. My main concern was making sure all the sponsors were taken care of.
Everybody got hit at their times they needed to.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it kind of grew from there, and here I am 25 years later.
I think it's an amazing backstory, too. And knowing where you've come from, where you've done, you've also played music in your background.
Yep.
I mean, you love doing that. I'm an old music major,
Yeah,
so
I'm a music guy,
that
too.
was pretty cool when I read about that. And over 2,000 consecutive.
Is that what it is now, 2,000?
It's well over that now.
We're closing in on 2,100, I believe.
Jeez.
So you take COVID year, for example.
Well, I know. We had you scheduled for last year, and
Right.
The day of, you thought that maybe you had contacted COVID, and you were worried to come into the studio.
I had been around people that had tested positive. Out of 4 people in the booth at a certain race last year, I was the only one that didn't get COVID.
Right.
It's because you're so damn healthy.
We went from a full broadcast last year to pretty much a skeleton crew for the World of Outlaws here in River Cities.
Right.
You mentioned Ted Johnson. What was he like? I met the guy one time, way back in the day, but what was he like to work with?
Ted was a passionate race fan.
Yeah.
And, there were times where you wouldn't necessarily see that because he had to balance an entire race series on his shoulders. I mean, back then there were, 4 full-time employees for the World of Outlaws. I was just an independent contractor at the time. And he had to take care of dealing with promoters and dealing with the race teams and trying to balance what's best for the series as far as the fans. But if you got him away from the racetrack, because he could be cantankerous is the best word I can describe it. And actually, when I talked about that race at Memphis, my first time there as a program seller, when they asked me to fill in for Bill, we had a rain delay that night. So I was sitting in the office of the souvenir trailer with Ted and a couple of other people. And during the rain delay, that's when I really got to find out how big a race fan Ted is. We just sat around talking about racing and like this big facade that, this gruff, tough exterior melted away. And I found a guy who had, very similar background as I did. He loved racing and just wanted to be part of it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I want to go over through a couple of texts here quickly before they get too much. We've already got a ton of them. What time could pit pass ticket holder enter the pits for World of Outlaws, and where's the best entrance for this? I couldn't tell you what time. If you go in by Home of Economy, what's it say up there? Okay. Also, Kaylee says, thank you for making an appearance at Karts last night. It's always a treat to have you there, and makes them feel special, too. Was super awesome that McKenna was the Junior 2 feature winner and had you announcing it. Terry Blacklance, I don't know if you know Terry, been around the racing business for a long time. His son is still racing. In fact, I think Terry's working on getting back into a car. He just got a new hip.
Oh, boy.
Picked up a new hip. But he says, ask Johnny where this past week's Knoxville Nationals ranked in his experience there, and what was his favorite moment?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you can sum it up all into one, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Nationals is just the Nationals.
Yeah.
I tweeted last week that it just hits differently. It's it is such a pleasure to be some small part of the greatest short track event in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm very fortunate to get to work with a crew of very talented announcers to call the action. My favorite moment at Knoxville, I don't even know if it's a moment where I've been part of the broadcast. I think my favorite moment was my first ever Nationals in 1990, watching Bobby Allen win.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So it doesn't have to necessarily, it's just, like I say, you're a race fan at heart.
Yes.
Yeah, so you go back from when you did that.
Yeah, exactly. There are too many great Nationals moments to pick just one. I mean, I so look forward to that week in August every year.
Oh, yeah. Kyle Awney said, don't tell John about the Mountain Dew he gave you. Kyle, I can see that.
Yeah. I got a free one last week. Yeah, it was cool.
Every once in a while, a couple of times a year, I get to go call the go-kart races. It's kind of a fun little night, isn't it?
It really is. And last night, I just show up for the features, and I was running a little bit late last night. I got into a repair project on the motorhome that took way longer than I thought, as they always do.
Right.
But I got over there in time to do the features, and the Junior 1 class, I believe, they wanted to do the 4 wide. So we did the 4 wide for the Junior 1s, and that was pretty cool.
I know I talked to some race car, some kids last time you were here, Johnny, and did that for them, and thank you again for doing that for us. It's amazing you go over and do that. They had goosebumps in the car because they could hear as your voice as you come around the corner. Those kids will remember that forever. I mean, so when you last year we got to see Johnny Gibson on Fox.
Yep.
Because you did a bunch of those simulator stuff on there, which was awesome. Now they can go and have their friends be like, hey, that guy announced my name. So I know my kid would hold that up to a pretty cool thing.
I was doing a remote yesterday for Circle of Friends at one of the Hugo's locations in town, and a go-kart racer with his daughter came in to get ice and everything for the races last night, and he goes, he says, are you announcing tonight? I said, no. I said, Johnny Gibson is, and his daughter, who's the racer.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, she was so... I mean, it almost looked like she was nervous.
It's a pretty cool thing. That's a pretty cool thing.
And this is one thing Chad hit on, and I had no idea. I came in today when Chad walked in, and I'm like, wow, I found out a lot about Johnny Gibson yesterday, and I start talking about these things after you and I visited yesterday. And he's like, well, yeah, he started out doing this.
He played drums. I knew this.
I didn't know any of that stuff, but it surprised me. I knocked on your door yesterday. I found out. I've been creeping you, found out where you were at, and I walk in, and beautiful motorhome, but then you've got a guitar stand there with 3 nice-looking fiddles sitting there on there, and I'm like, you play? He's like, well, yeah, and then he starts digging out stuff, and Katie, where are you?
She's gone.
Okay, and he's like, well, yeah, and he actually played me a couple of tunes from a band he's played in, and we're going to talk more about that, but I want to show you one thing first here.
What? What do we
Let's see
find?
if we can. It'll take her a second to pop this up.
Oh, it's Google? Oh!
Look at that.
Look at that, Johnny. Right in the middle.
That's me in the middle.
Can you blow that up, Katie, or not?
So that would have been that band was called Torn and Frayed. That would have been 1991. We won the In Pittsburgh Magazine Rock Challenge. Got like 100 hours of studio time for winning that contest. My claim to fame from the Rock Challenge that year was. God, I just went blank on the band that we beat. That they went on to be way more famous than we.
Really?
Who did "Send Me on My Way"? They used it in the Enterprise car commercial.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
but we beat them in the finals of that in Pittsburgh Rock Challenge.
Was that a snake you were holding in that picture?
Yes, it is.
Was it your pet?
No, it was actually our bass player's pet. I just thought it would look cool for the picture.
You look like you're just going on tour with Bon Jovi or something back then.
That is so cool.
Now, you started out as a drummer?
Yeah, I played drums. I really didn't start playing guitar until I started traveling with the Outlaws. It was way easier to carry around the guitar than a set of drums.
Well,
so.
yeah.
I'm thinking you ignored my last text yesterday saying, hey, if you want to do a song, bring a flat top with you. I did not get a reply. I even got up in the middle of the night to check my phone to see if I got a reply, but there wasn't any.
There's one thing I wish I had. I was a music major back when I was going to college, and when I quit being a music major, I just kind of quit music in general, I think you'd say. I wish, looking back, it's so cool that you keep on doing that and you keep on playing, and that is just
I've been really fortunate. So a couple of the songs I played for you yesterday. So that happened 3 years ago when I was back in Pittsburgh for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Got together with some of the guys that I used to play with, including a couple of guys in Torn and Frayed that you saw in the picture there.
Yeah.
And we booked some studio time and went in and recorded a couple songs that I had written. I started writing songs when I started playing and started traveling, and had a chance to go in the studio and do some stuff that I thought sounded pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
I'd actually love to try to figure out a way to get one of those songs played here right now. If we could, I don't know if we can do it or not.
Well, I don't know.
Here, but it was good. It was really good.
It's so cool when you look back at what your life has done and what you've been. Would you go back and pursue the music side of things?
I don't know. I if it fell into place the right way, possibly. But I'm very fortunate. I've gotten to do things that I really enjoy throughout my life, between playing music and now working for the World of Outlaws.
Right. So let's go now. Another thing I found out about Johnny was I get to talk to him every so often. I met you back in Minot when we were down there, and you at that time we were talking about how you travel so much.
Yep.
And at that time you had an apartment, and you said, you know what? It's straight motorhome for now. How's that been?
It's been fantastic. I wish I would have done it 15 years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The last apartment I had was in Minneapolis, and I was home 89 nights the whole year.
Oh, gosh.
So you're paying rent on a lot of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that year I had a motorhome. I got my first motorhome, a little 25-footer, but I was still going back and forth to home.
Right.
Was just staying in the motorhome when I was on the road. And that season taught me that, I could do this motorhome thing full time and not have to worry about the apartment or trying to get back to someplace. I can just kind of go from place to place and have home with me wherever I am.
Yeah, and that
awesome.
new motorhome, by the way, is pretty swank. That's a nice set of wheels you got there.
It's not bad. It's
not bad.
But that's a 2002. It's not like I'm in a brand new Prevost or Noir or something like that.
Sure,
but it still beats that, doing that instead of paying rent and not being there.
Exactly.
So you take the money for rent and put it towards the motorhome. It's still there.
Yeah.
But now you got repairs to do, though.
Yeah, but, it's like anything else. If you own a home, there's always stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Same thing with owning a motorhome. You're basically driving a house up and down the road. So there's always a little project to be working on.
But we should have held on about the go-karts for a second here because I'm going to get a few more texts. Joshua says, cool thing about the kart track, there are drivers there that graduated from there and are competing with the World of Outlaws this weekend. They have for years, of course. A lot of the sprint car drivers here in the Grand Forks area started out racing go-karts. Brett says our son Brandon has Johnny's autograph hanging in the race trailer, and he won the Junior 2 Yamaha race last night. Jenny says, my son told me about 10 times to make sure I record when Johnny said his name. So cool. Heather says, I send Chad snaps when I go to concerts when they have good drummers and drum solos.
Yeah, she knows I was a music major back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, one of the cool things about going to the kart races and calling them, you know, the names that I recognize, the names that I know are going to be second or third generation drivers coming up. It's so cool to see that.
When you, one of those we can think of right now is Dobmeyer. Yeah. So
he's got 2 of them out there now.
He's got 2 out there going
Jackson
now.
and Ty.
How cool was that to have him down in Knoxville?
It's just so cool in general to see him back behind the wheel of a sprint car and the level of success that he's had since coming back. I think coming into the Nationals, I believe the stat I dug up was he had won 5 of his 12 races back.
Yeah,
plus
something like that.
Plus the Bullhalter and Huset's for 10,000.
Yep.
I mean, he has a two-seater sprint car. I got to ride in the back of that.
Yeah,
holy cow!
Yeah, they wanted me, and I designated it to somebody else.
I mean, those. You tell me a race car driver is an athlete. I'm telling you right now. I'm well overweight. I'll just say that. And when we come out of corner 4 towards the wall, I think I might have lost my breath, maybe pooed a little bit. But I tell you, when you look at races that we've seen,
things you learn on a podcast.
But you look at what we've seen though, and I look at, when they go into the corner, I always refer back to last year's race because when Kyle Larson went in corner 1, I don't think he lifted.
No.
And so to have him just turn that thing sideways and just the G-forces take you, I was out of breath over 3 laps.
The one thing I remember about that race, and we're going to talk about this now, because in my opinion, that year we had 2 of the best finishes ever, and both were World of Outlaw races.
Right.
But that one with Kyle Larson making the pass, the thing that comes to my mind is the World of Outlaw track worker that was sprinting for his life to get out of the way there. But you remember that? I'm sure you remember it like it was yesterday. Wasn't that one heck of a race?
It was, but that's just kind of typical of what I see at River Cities Speedway, and that's why it's my favorite track of the 380 whatever I've been to. My thing about River Cities Speedway is I've seen some great races there. I have not really seen any bad races there, and that's why it stays number 1 on my list. There are tracks that I go to. I've seen fantastic races, but I've also seen a few that were, not very good at all.
Right.
I've just not had that experience at River Cities.
And that answered the next question from, let's see, one of them wanted to know how many racetracks have you been to? Oh, Amanda Joe, how many different racetracks have you been to? You just kind of answered that. Have you ever rode in a sprint car? That's another question I got.
I have never been in a 2-seat sprint car. I've actually gotten to drive a sprint car on 3 occasions.
Really? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. How fun was that?
The first 2 times were fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. What about the third time?
Yeah, he's not gonna.
Did you put one in the fence?
Yeah.
Whose car was it?
It was back when Dave Blaney had a driving school. I put the school car in the wall at Texas Motor Speedway.
A lot of damage?
Bird cage, Jacob's ladder, torque tube.
Yeah. Just a little minor.
That deserves one of these. And Johnny Gibson's in the wall.
Yeah.
And it was completely my fault because since I had driven twice before, I thought, I sat around watching people get in the school car and go out and kind of putt around the track.
Right.
And I was like, well, I can show these guys how it's done. And I got to the point where I could kind of, just kind of drag the brake to get in the corner to kind of set the car. And I went to go into the turn and went to drag the brake and drug it a little too hard and it spun the car around. And I was like, oh, I spun out. And then boom, like, what was that? Well, I spun and backed up the track and hit the wall with the left rear corner.
Sure. I tell you what, when we were talking about Mark Dobmeyer, when he was healing, he had one of the cars that he destroyed out in western North Dakota, he had made into a simulator. And so I turned one night, we were out there, and I turned about 25 laps or so at Knoxville. You should have seen how black and blue I was just from bouncing off the cushion. I couldn't believe it. I probably, out of the 25 laps I did, I think I went 5 complete laps where I did not let off, but after that, it was just a crap show.
Right.
Now I know why I talk and not race. We're going to take a little break here. World of Outlaw announcer Johnny Gibson is in the studio. And again, Dirty Thursday brought to you by Buffalo River Speedway in Glendon. When we get back from the break, we'll go over your track schedules here. But special shout out going out to Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Life doesn't seem to ever slow down. Everything needs to be done now. And when it comes time for an oil change, stop into Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Most of their oil changes are done within 15 minutes. What I do is I pull up, I sit in my truck, It takes them a few minutes. They go through all kinds of different things. They top off my fluids. They check my tires, my battery, my lights, my wipers, my cabin air filter. They also do coolant flushes, tranny flushes. And you know what? You get discounts for fleets and the military. They can text and email invoices and coupons. Make sure you mention, when you go in to get that oil change, mention Grand Forks Best Source, and they'll give you $10 off your oil change. They're open all the time, 7 days a week, no appointment needed. Pickup and delivery is available if you live in Grand Forks. Check it out. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is more than just an oil change. 3325 South 38th Street, or call 701-780-8462. Make sure you tell them Grand Forks Best Source sent you. Quickly going over the race schedule. Tonight, Norman County Raceway in Ada. It's the season championship for the IMCA Sprints. Sport Mod Stock Cars, the Minnesota Midwest Mods, the INX Legends are there. Of course, tomorrow night here at River Cities Speedway, we've got the World of Outlaws, and the NLRA Late Model Tour is going to be here. Saturday, Devils Lake Speedway. I'm going to be down there calling the races. Professional Dirt Series. You got the Wingless Sprints, the Trophy Class. Up in Greenbush Race Park on Saturday, A-Mods, Midwest Mods, Streets, Pure Stocks, 4-cylinders. And then on Sunday, River City Speedway, Saturday first, the Enduro races, but Sunday, IMCA Mods, Limited Late Models, Lightning Sprints, and the BRRS. And, of course, World of Outlaws go from Grand Forks tomorrow night to Fargo on Saturday. And then is it Huset's on Sunday?
Yep.
Huset's.
So, it seems like every time you guys come to Grand Forks, usually it's after the Knoxville Nationals and then the early race, but it seems like you guys always get a week off or a good chunk of the week before you run here at River Cities. I would imagine now we're just talking about this 3-day stretch you've got going on, and I'm sure your stretches get longer, but how nice is it to be able to get, like you did to Grand Forks this week, on a Monday and not have to worry about really too much until Friday?
It really is. And, from this point forward, our schedule really is not all that busy. We've got a busy weekend coming up in 2 weeks. We're 3 nights in a row at Skagit Speedway in Washington, and then fourth night in Grays Harbor Raceway. So we go 4 nights in a row there. But that Monday night race at Grays Harbor, which is actually Labor Day, is our final midweek show of the year. From there on, everything else is just weekends. There's a lot of travel involved, but the season is kind of starting to wind down a little bit.
So when the season comes to an end, how much time do you get off?
Basically, I'm off until we kick off the next season at Florida in February, but there are things to do in between that I'm sort of on call. And then in a normal year, I would go to Australia and call racing in Australia. Of course, last year I did not get to go, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get to go this year. They're still pretty much locked down from the COVID thing.
Sure.
So have to see what I can come up with during the off season. Maybe spend some time in Pittsburgh, and who knows, maybe talk to some of those band guys again.
Go do some band stuff.
But my question was going to be, if you get a little time off, like a month or whatever you guys get, I was just wondering, where are you going to park that RV?
Actually, I kind of go back and forth. Normally, I'll stay in Charlotte at World of Outlaws headquarters for a few days after World Finals wraps up, and then go to Pennsylvania. I'll be there for Thanksgiving, back with the family.
Yep.
And then I normally go to Indianapolis, and I'm usually there for the PRI show. And then if I'm still around for Christmas, kind of go back to Pennsylvania, or maybe back and forth between the two until it gets too cold to stay up north, and then maybe it's time to head to Florida with the motorhome.
Get to warmer weather. When do you go and make all your recordings? I know you do a lot of pre-recordings to make sure you give your voice breaks during the day at the races.
Normally those are recorded during that opening week at Volusia Speedway. Normally we don't have all of those ads finalized until the week before the races or so.
Sure.
So that's when I do the recording. And they change throughout the season, so there are some things that I have to go back and re-record.
Are you able to do that on the motorhome, or do you have to go? Okay.
Yeah, no, I can do that in the motorhome. Just get out the mixer and the laptop, and
that is just so nice, because I know you talk so much throughout the night and so much action happens. It's probably nice to have that break.
It really is. And you think about the fact that I have anywhere from 18 to 24 or 25 commercial reads that are probably 30 seconds each, and they need to be done 2 or 3 times a night, depending on the sponsor. So it's nice to have those. I just press play on the iPod, and it goes from there.
That's perfect.
Is there any race or type of racing, Johnny, that you would love to call besides dirt stuff?
No.
Nope, that's it.
No.
I'm kind of the same way.
I think Jeff Gordon asked him the same question. I want to say and he just said, but it's still it was still pretty cool to have you do that kind of thing. Dirt is just where your heart is.
It really is. And I've had some overtures from, NASCAR and things like that. Just nothing, definite, but like, hey, if the opportunity came up, would you be available to do something like this, MRN or whatever? And just, I'm not interested. It's not.
Some of the most important farm decisions are made right at the kitchen table. But there's one question families don't always know how to ask. What happens to the farm if long-term care becomes part of the picture? At German Law, helping farm families across Minnesota and North Dakota protect what they've built is what we do best. Join German Law for a free seminar on Tuesday, June 9th at 10 a.m. Learn practical options to help keep your farm and your legacy where it belongs, in the family. Register today at germanlawgf.com/seminars. Protect your legacy with German Law.
Look, the best part of basketball isn't just the game. It's the conversation during and after, the hot takes, the replies, the debates. And right now, that's all happening on Threads.
You got fans going back and forth with athletes and each other. You got hoops talk crossing over into music, fashion, all of it.
Real replies, real conversation, not just people yelling into the void. If you're not on basketball Threads, you're missing the best part of the game.
Basketball on Threads. Get into it.
It's not that I don't respect other forms of racing. It just doesn't do it for me personally. And I think the biggest advantage I have when it comes to calling the races for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series is the fact that I'm passionate about what I do. And I think that passion would be lacking in any other form of motorsports. And I think, therefore, I'd either not come across as exciting or that excitement would be faked. And I don't ever want to be accused of faking something.
When you look at other stuff that goes on throughout the, like, say, that winter time, Chili Bowl, all that. Would that be something to be interesting to do, announce that?
I've actually done the video for the Chili Bowl. I used to, when Greg Stevens Motorsport Video was producing the videos, I would call the race. Bobby Gerald and I would call it live to tape, basically. Would sit in the booth, watch the races, and call it for the video. So, and before I became a full-time World of Outlaws employee, when I was just an independent contractor, Chili Bowl was my winter job. So I worked there for 20-some years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
wow.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
How about that?
So
We
I've done a
finally
little
got
bit of
one.
everything at the Chili Bowl, from announcing to selling tickets to running a grader and water truck.
Oh, that's,
Wow. That dude
so
does
he's
it
done
all.
track prep.
Yeah.
That's cool.
One thing I forgot to do, and I need to do this right now, so here's what we're going to do. Of course, the Happy Harry's Rockin' Up North Fest kicks off tonight. Joe Nichols is playing tonight. I've got a pair of tickets. Also, Jordan Davis is playing on Saturday. I've got a pair of tickets to that. Here's what you need to do. First one to text me, say you want the tickets for Joe Nichols or Jordan Davis. Our number, 701-213-0863, and you will get those tickets. Johnny, somebody asked me your thoughts on Casey Kane running the Roth Motorsports car for the rest of the year.
That. Who took that question?
I think it's super cool. I think Casey looked really good when he was driving his own car before James McFadden made it over here this year. I think he looked as good, if not better, than he's looked in a sprint car in quite a long time.
Right.
And I think pairing up with the Roth Enterprises machine, I think it's perhaps his best chance in a long time to get that elusive first career World of Outlaws victory.
So when you look at his own racing team, does that help out that fast too? I mean, when you look at, he can gain more experience on there where it goes back to his own racing team?
I think the biggest thing for that is maybe not necessarily the gaining the experience. I think it's the fact that it will be a little bit less of a distraction for his own teams. That he's kind of off doing his own thing with the Roth Enterprises crew and not necessarily having to put a third car out like they've done several times with the KKR guys.
Yeah.
And Amanda Joe kind of wants to know, how about the separation from Roth and,
I mean, what can you say?
If you want to comment on it.
It happened, and the Outlaws had no choice in the matter. I mean, when you take an inspection sticker off of a car that passed inspection, put it on a car that you know will not pass the inspection.
Right.
That's
kinda
exactly what happened.
They're-
I didn't hear the whole story on that.
Rules are rules, and I don't know where they thought down their thought process, Johnny or John, of where they thought they're going to get away with this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something there that just wasn't clicking.
Especially with the World of Outlaws.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, they have tech, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, is Kyle Larson coming?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I didn't think so either, but man, that guy, it doesn't matter. He could get on a three-wheel trike.
I think he just won again on dirt this week.
Oh,
He won the Stoops Pursuit Midget Race last night as part of the BC 39. He'll run the feature there tonight, or the qualifiers and the feature. I don't know for sure that he's not. I don't Actually, no, I don't necessarily expect him, but yeah.
Well, you think about it. I remember back in the days, Steve Kinzer ended up going, what did they call it back then? The IROC.
Yep.
And then ended up doing NASCAR. Did okay for a while. I think it was kind of a little beginner's luck there, but
well, the IROC thing was really cool. He won that race at Talladega.
Cool. Yeah,
that was awesome.
And then that kind of led to his NASCAR ride, which was in a relatively underfunded team.
Yes.
And I think it made Steve kind of look bad.
Sure,
and,
it did. I agree. But, my thoughts were at that time was, wow, the guy can drive on asphalt too. But, boy, this Kyle Larson has just taken it to a whole different level.
Kyle Larson is the most talented race car driver I've ever seen. And that's just, and when I say most talented race car driver, not perhaps the best sprint car driver, although he may end up being that as well. But he is the best at jumping in any kind of race car in any circumstance and being able to put a car up front.
Oh, I was just going to say that too, because when he can jump from Watkins Glen on Sunday, come to Knoxville Nationals that week, and still win, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then you throw him in a late model on top of that, and he wins in a late model. Then he wins in a midget. Then he wins in Chili Bowl. I mean, I saw on Facebook last night, they're talking about everything going on, and it goes, oh, by the way, Kyle Larson won in an upset.
Yeah, an upset. This is something I also didn't know about. Local guy, Grant Boyd, was the crew chief for Casey Kane. We got a call.
We got a call.
Hello, are you there? Oh, hold on. Now can you hear me?
Nothing?
I got nothing.
Uh-oh.
Somebody wants to call
Technology.
in.
Did they call the right number?
Is Bluetooth on?
Wait, did I do that? Yeah, it's on.
Hello? Well, I got nobody here.
Oh, boy. So Johnny, let's look back at your career. When you look and you always say all the time, you're never working because you're enjoying you're having the best day of your life.
Right.
Is that when you look at other announcers say us, it's just so cool to watch you come into a racetrack and help the facility. Be part of it. Like we called you, oh gosh, it was 2 weeks ago, I think. River Cities called you. Like, hey, do you need this? Do you need this? And then you come up to our booth and like, let me simplify this for you guys. And you did that for us.
Yeah, it's just I mean, part of that is basically my own OCD when I come in and then look at cables kind of laying.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah. But no, it's Again, I am very fortunate to do what I do, and so whatever I can do to help give back to the industry and the tracks that have allowed me to basically live a dream for the past 25 years, anything I can do.
It's phenomenal.
You say phenomenal. 25 years. Have you got a time or date when you think, know what, man, this road is getting to me, I've had enough, or you're passionate enough, but that's the last thing from your mind right now?
It really is. That the only stipulation I have on when the career is over is the fact that I have some good friends out there that I rely on their judgment if mine fails. I don't want to stick around and be calling races when I'm not at the top of my game. I listen to a lot of sports driving up and down the road. If I can't be watching the Penguins game, I'll be listening to, or listen to other hockey teams, or listen to football or whatever. And there are a couple of broadcasters that I grew up with that are still calling events, and I listen to them and go, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be trying to call a race when I'm not really capable of it anymore, and I'm not sounding my best. That's a little sad to me, and so I've talked to my friends privately. I've actually posted it on social media. If there comes a time when I'm still out there doing it and I don't need to be doing it because I'm not doing it well, somebody tell me. I'm not going to get offended. I don't want to go out that way. I don't want to be remembered that way.
When you look at the career and then you go to racetracks where there's kids that have recited the four wide salute to you, how cool is that?
It really is. And I think sometimes perhaps I don't appreciate it the way I should, just because it does happen a lot. And I am so overwhelmed by the fact that that little phrase has kind of become something that people recognize.
Yeah. I still get goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Every time. Every single time.
Okay, so you look back at Fox Sports when you did it for the simulators that we did with Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, and then you were on there. and you did the 4-wide salute, even those guys got like, oh.
Yeah.
It's just that way he delivers it, the way he presents it is just still mind-boggling and goosebumps, and you just like, it's game time now. Yeah, it's time to go because these guys are going to put on a show.
By the way, I did friend request you on Facebook after it took me forever to figure out where you were under. So, and this is another question. I tell you what, we have got a ton of people watching the show today. Do you think you know who the Rookie of the Year is for this year with World of Outlaws? Who's in the front running?
Right now, it'll be James McFadden. He's the leading contender right now, and back to Casey Kane Racing.
Yes, yeah, we just touched on that.
Okay. Another thing, there's questions, Johnny, that we ask race car drivers every week when they come on the Dirty Thursday show, brought to you by Buffalo River Speedway. I always ask the drivers: is there anybody you will not park your hauler to or next to? Somebody texted in wanting to know: is there anybody you won't park your RV next to?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, that's funny. That even came up. That's pretty cool.
All right, how about this one? Being a Penguins and a Steelers fan, are you a PA Posse fan, Pennsylvania Posse fan as well, or are you strictly Outlaw?
Well, again, having grown up in the Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania is a little bit strange where the Pennsylvania Posse is not necessarily the entire state. So I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, which for sprint car races meant Lernerville, Mercer, Tri-City, places like that. That's not technically considered Posse. The Posse is Central Pennsylvania. That's Williams Grove, Lincoln, Port Royal, at the time, Selinsgrove. So Western Pennsylvania guys weren't necessarily considered Posse. So being from Western Pennsylvania, I'm not necessarily a Posse guy. So I'd say my allegiance definitely stands with the Outlaws.
All right. Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
After all these years, do you have a favorite driver?
No.
Somebody that you could confide in, you could talk to, you could BS with all the time, and just
no. And that's one of the things that I think as an announcer, I don't need to have. Like if you see me away from race day when I'm not wearing the World of Outlaws polo and the white pants or whatever,
the blue and white,
you won't see me wearing a racing T-shirt. I just don't do it. I just don't think that's right. I don't think it's fair for me to single out a particular driver and promote a particular driver by wearing their apparel or by saying I have a favorite. I think it's just good business as a broadcaster to try to stay as impartial as possible.
I kind of think the same way. I've got a ton of racing apparel from different race car drivers.
Right.
And I don't wear them hardly ever either because I feel the same way. Even though some of these shirts and hats are so cool, I don't want people to think that I'm favoring anybody.
Right. Well, let's go. I got one question, another question. I've had a lot of questions for Johnny. I apologize. But when we looked this year, Bristol on dirt, how was your experience there?
I'm torn because Bristol, as a broadcaster, as an announcer, not necessarily the greatest experience.
Right.
And I'm not saying it facility-wise or anything like that. It's just the fact that you are so far away from the racetrack there. We are in that upper tower, and you're looking down on the race cars. You don't really get the sensation of speed. It's just it's sometimes difficult to identify cars. I mean, I'm very grateful to have Dirt Vision be part of that broadcast and have the screen in front of me to be able to see the cars that way. But and the speeds at Bristol were just outrageous, and I think you can see that in the type of racing that was taking place there.
Oh yeah,
you could see the drivers showing each other a little more respect than perhaps they would on a track the size of River Cities.
And you hit at the top of the show, Johnny, too, about you've called some really good races and some really bad races. This kind of takes me back to back in the day before the World of Outlaws started coming to River Cities Speedway. They would make their stop in Fargo, and I believe it was usually at least a 2-day stop. Maybe sometimes might have even been 3.
Lots of times 3.
Yeah. But back when it was the half-mile track, I don't remember a whole lot of really good racing at that track.
I remember one.
Okay, yeah. But, you get your top 5, and there could be 15 seconds between first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and you don't see that in the smaller tracks.
No, you don't. And that's why, as a race fan, I prefer small racetracks. That's just where where I've seen the best battles and the best action. The small racetracks, you get in lap traffic on lap 3 or 4, and it's just fantastic racing. And again, some people like the speeds of the big fast half miles, and there's something to be said about that as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, look who made it into the studio.
Producer Paul's here.
Yeah.
Hey, you made it.
Yeah, I think I got a little bit of heat stroke yesterday out doing our Circle of Friends remote.
It was pretty brutal. Oh, by the way, Paul, Johnny. How you doing?
I did try to call in because I did have a question. You guys.
Oh, that was you that called in.
Yeah.
we couldn't get it on there for some reason.
I think we need to pair the new one. That's why it wasn't.
Oh,
Oh, sure. We got a new board
Go
here.
for it.
Well, okay. So this was when you were talking about the IROCs. Mm-hmm. Now I always remembered the Trans Ams or the Camaros. They always had
Yeah,
IROC.
whatever. International
It is-
Race of Champions.
Is that what? Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I always wondered what that stood for. Because I was always like, it was like IROC, like is I drive a Camaro or what?
Well, you do, but do you have a favorite race in your career that you call best race, favorite race, one that is the most memorable to you, Johnny?
No, I don't have a favorite race. I do have a moment that kind of really stands out to me, and it goes back to my first year as the announcer for the series in 1997. But to be able to call Brad Doty pacing the field at the Kings Royal in the restored
sure.
Coors Light car, because Brad was one of my favorites as a race fan growing up. So, and the fact now that I consider him a friend and we exchange phone calls and text messages about stuff, but to be able to do that, especially in my first season as the series announcer, was really cool and really special to me.
That's awesome.
Wow. Katie, have we had anybody calling in about those tickets yet?
Brittany.
Okay, so when does she have tickets for? Did she win for tonight or for Saturday? Huh? Which night? Which tickets? There's 2 different nights there.
Oh, well, I don't know. I didn't realize it was...
Don't you pay attention?
No, I didn't realize.
She hears you every week, so no, she doesn't have to pay attention.
Yes! Tell you what, 701-213-0863. Give us a call here after the show, and we'll figure this out. But we have got some tickets here for the Rockin' Up North Festival starting tonight, and that's going to be a good time. So this is what's left. Or are these the ones that are gone?
Those are the ones that are getting...
There's another guy to text in. I'm going to ask Brittany which one she wants.
Okay. Well, then we should be done there.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Gosh, you got anything else?
No, I know we're getting close on time now. I just want Johnny, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
This is awesome. It's always great to talk to you at the racetracks and see you. And it was so cool listening to you on Fox when you talk about not being at the racetrack. Oh, there's a question real quick. Not being at the racetrack. Take a COVID year. You broadcasted not always at the racetrack.
Yeah, we only did that the one time.
Right.
The return to racing that we did at Knoxville with no fans in the stands. I was in the studio in Concord, North Carolina, in the Dirt Vision studios. Tony Bachhoven was in the booth at Knoxville Raceway, but we called the race together.
Oh, how awkward or kind of confusing was that?
Actually calling the race was just like normal. We just did our normal thing. The strange part was during the downtime, because normally I can look at somebody and kind of ask a question or know when they're about to talk. And because we couldn't really see each other, we kind of stepped on each other a little bit, not during the race call, but in the time in between the races.
Yeah, try to pick up the slack,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No, Johnny, thank you for all what you do for the sport.
I got one more.
Oh, go ahead.
And this is a question I ask everybody that comes on the Dirty Thursday show.
let's
Johnny
do it.
Gibson,
Yep.
how do you want to be remembered as an announcer?
As a fan, as somebody who was excited about what he saw night in and night out, as somebody who was the luckiest race fan in the world to get to see the best sprint car drivers every night and get to talk about it.
Dude,
Said it all right there, didn't he?
Yeah. Thank you so much for what you do for the sport, Johnny. We really appreciate it. Really, really do.
And I was just stoked. One of the first things I said was, I saw Johnny Gibson today, and he wasn't wearing white pants. That's like the first time I've ever seen that. Again, Johnny, thank you, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
How
Thanks,
about that?
Johnny.
Dirty Thursday brought to you by Buffalo River Speedway. Johnny Gibson, your World of Outlaws announcer. Special shout out going on out there to Rumor Sports Bar and Casino for bringing you today's show. I love Rumor Sports Bar and Casino. They're right across the hall here. There we go. They've got all kinds of great things. What I like about them the best is not only the world-famous beer tower, but wall-to-wall TVs. Watch your favorite sports team. Maybe you like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Maybe you like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
If you don't, there's something wrong with you.
I'd rather watch the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Something wrong with
Check
you.
out our statues there, yeah.
Check it out. Rumor
How's your
Sports Bar and
championship thing
Casino.
look? Yeah.
Lots of great lunch, dinner specials. Fiesta Friday coming up tomorrow. Gotta love that. And also, we're going to be at Circle of Friends. It is the Scan Donation Campaign with the Circle of Friends Animal Shelter. We're going to be at Hugo's today in South Washington from 4 to 6, so check that out. And leave us that Google review at the end of August. We're going to pick the best one. They're going to win a Vive Pro virtual reality machine courtesy of Sundog Mining. This thing's worth like $1,200. Sundog Mining, by the way, looking to hire some help You want to find out more? Check out Sundog Mining LLC on Facebook for more information. Starting wage is $15. Tomorrow morning, we got our morning update. Of course, our Grand Forks Best Source Sports Show. It's all coming up tomorrow. Make sure you hit the World of Outlaws tomorrow night. Keep your fingers crossed, no rain. If not, they're going to be racing in Fargo on Saturday, down in Houston on Sunday. And make sure you like, share, tag, and follow us, and hit that notification bell on your smartphone, too. That way you'll never miss a show, all right? You know, the Grand Cities is a great place. Grand Forks Best Source, we're giving it an identity again.